What's up, everybody? I almost didn't make videos again this week because I was getting ready to record, and wifey called me up all frantic talking about the tires going flat on the new car. Of course, she drives the new car, but I was trying to tell her just calm down, because it wasn't like going flat like really fast. So I told her just put some air in the tire and then drive straight to the llanteria. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would do. I mean, I've been in that situation, many times. So uh, plus, if I told her if you don't make it, we got AAA. So don't worry, I got it covered. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm glad I have time, and things worked out. So if you're not already a subscriber, glad to have you on board. Stick around if you like prison stories. This is going to be a really good one. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and then hit like at the end and leave comments so I can interact with you guys, all right? So this is going to be another prison story from Corrections Corporation of America in Florence, Arizona. That's got a different name now. Like I've said before, it don't matter. Still the same crooked ass um, private prison, making money off housing convicts or detainees, I should say. They house mostly U.S. Marshal, ICE, Homeland Security, and a few other smaller contracts. But anyway, this one's going to be about a mafioso that was in lockdown units. And I used to talk to him quite a bit, got to know him pretty good because I worked those units a lot. And of course, like always, I'm never going to give their real name, but I'm going to use his nickname, which was Apache. He was half Apache and half Chicano. But of course, he identified more with his Chicano side, and so that was the organization he was affiliated with. And like before, I'm never gonna say which one it is. If you know, you know. He was a Chicano, and he's a mafioso, or he was a mafioso. So you probably know what he was in, right? Um, so Inmate Apache was what's called a dropout. Um, so that means he quit the gang for one reason or another, and I'll get into that later, right? Um, but let me say he definitely was not a PC, because some people want to say like, oh, if you're a dropout, then you got a PC up. Not necessarily. He was considered, like, his classification was house alone, wreck alone, because he was considered extremely violent and assaultive towards other inmates and staff. He was just a violent dude, like, all the way around. And he was a pretty big dude, like, I would say maybe about 5'10", 5'11". So he was like just a little bit taller than me. Pretty swole, like pretty yoked dude. He worked out like nonstop. Dude was just, and he was always pacing around in the cell. Like, he was just a super intense dude, man. And so like um the funny thing is, like, and I'll get into it more later, I used to talk to him quite a bit, and then I talked to this mafioso in another pod that I've talked about before, that went by the nickname LB, Lonely Boy, and he was like the top shot caller at our prison from that same organization, right? And and like I said, like but he was like active member. Obviously, he's the shot caller. He was the highest ranking dude we had there. So the funny thing is, like, when I would work those different pods, like, they both kind of knew that I talked to the other one, right? So they would kind of like ask me stuff sometimes, and it's funny because they already knew what I was gonna say, and because I had an understanding with both of them, because obviously that's not something you want to get in the middle of. So, like, I basically had told both of them, like, hey, you already know I talked to LB. Whatever me and him talk about is between me and him, and it stays there. Um, likewise, whatever me and you talk about is between me and you, and it stays between us. Like, if somebody else overhears and goes and tells them, that's, that's a whole different thing. But I'm not gonna be like, a go between. Basically, like, like I told both of them, like, we can chop it up as much as you want. Talk. We can talk as much as you want, but don't involve me in your politics, please. And don't ever ask me to run messages for you or anything like that. So they both were cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But the funny thing is, like, they would still kind of ask about the other one and make little comments. And I would just kind of like laugh and shake my head, and obviously I wouldn't repeat it, right? So the thing with Apache, and he told me the story like after I got to know him pretty good, and then I also heard more about the story from another shot caller that came to our unit later on, and I'll get into that. His initials were AG. That's all I'm gonna say. The other shot caller, and he was kind of a young dude. He was a big dude too. He was about like maybe about 6'3", and just real high strung, and just like he was just like a super high profile dude. Like they considered him such an escape risk or such a threat that when he left our facility, this other shot caller AG, they fucking flew him out in a helicopter. The U.S. Marshals, they came in a helicopter and took his ass out in a helicopter because they were afraid that he was gonna have like if they were gonna like transport him like in a caravan, like in a bus. I mean, not a bus, like a van or something. They were afraid that it was gonna get ambushed, so they took him in a fucking helicopter, like no joke, right? This shot caller named AG. Anyways, I'll talk more about him later, and I'll tell his story completely. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna tell it in this video or maybe another one, but anyway, so Apache started telling me that, he was basically oh, and also like when I would talk to these dudes, obviously I was very careful not to get too familiar with them or get too deep in their business or anything. But it's funny, like whenever they talked about their organization or their quote unquote prison gang, they never called it any of those terms. Like I remember I asked LB one time about I asked him something about AG. I said I think the comment was I asked him something like your big homie AG, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to find out who was higher ranked without directly asking. And it was funny because when I said it like that, he kind of looks at me like, my big homie? He goes like that. He goes, I'm his big homie. I was like, all right. So, I didn't know. I'm just asking. So then he kind of made a joke. He was like, don't let me find out you're, undercover, on a gang task force or something, Diaz, And I was like, nah, man, nothing like that. But anyways, like, he goes, so you're asking me if we go to the same church. That's how he put it. He didn't say like, we're in the same clique or the same, prison gang or anything. He goes, you're asking me if we go to the same church? And I was like, yeah, you guys go to the same church, And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay, all right. But anyway, so this inmate Apache, getting back to him, so he was like an enforcer. He was considered like somebody they would send to like to collect or set somebody straight. Like if they were like messing up, like he would just put a beat down on them or something to, basically knock some sense into them or punish them for some kind of fuck up they made, right? So it went with his character, perfect, like highly assaultive, considered, extremely violent towards staff and other inmates. So the thing that ended up going wrong for him was, so like he was telling me his younger brother had just joined also the same church, same organization, but he was fresh into it still. He was still a young dude, like I think he had barely turned 18. and he already had like you know, like a criminal record and everything. Obviously, he was like, because usually they start out in a street gang. I don't remember what street gang he came up in, but that's usually how it works, right? Before you get to the big leagues, they're considered the big leagues, obviously, right? So I guess on a particular night, Apache's younger brother was in a car with AG, and this is when AG was out on the streets. He told me about it also, um, from his side of it. They were in a car with a couple of other groups of their church, a couple other church members, and I think it happened either, I don't remember for sure. Some of you might remember it on the news, but I mean, this has happened, other times also. But it was either Avondale or Glendale, somewhere in that area. Um, they got pulled over. I don't know if it was for speeding, probably for speeding. And so AG was driving, the shot caller. And so he was telling the other guys in the car, like, I ain't going back to prison, man. I ain't going back. I ain't ready to go back. So when the cop, poor officer, unsuspecting, he had no idea who was in that car. He comes up to the car. Right when he came up to the car, he said he had a gun like under his I don't remember if he said he had under his shirt or under something, like, with one in the chamber already, right? So as soon as the cop leaned down like that to talk to him, he just went like that, pow pow, and shot him in the face twice and killed him. He might have even got out and put a couple more in him. I don't know, but I don't remember if he said that. I think actually he just put the two in him, and then he said he just do it and drive and peel out, took off. Um, so, anyways, he was on the run for like a couple of months, I think he said, before they got him. But I think I'll save that for another video. I'll go in detail about, he told me what all the shit he did while he was on the run. So, anyways, what ended up happening is they caught Apache's younger brother. They caught up to him. They arrested him. They took him into custody, and they started questioning him. And they started threatening him with a lot of time. They were, I mean, basically they were going to put the murder on him, to get him to snitch on the real shooter, right? So he was looking at 25 to life. So, and then also, I forgot to mention, Apache, I guess, had told him, he had told AG before this happened, like, hey man, don't be getting my carnalito, my little brother, into anything too heavy, like too deep, because he's too fresh, like he's too green, like he ain't ready, he'll crack. Like he said, like he ain't ready to do a long, I forget the term they use, but just a long stay in prison, right? He said he'll crack, like he ain't ready, he's too green, right? So that's what ended up happening, right? So he gave up the real shooter, which was AG. So I think it was like a couple months later before they finally caught up with AG. So when AG found out that Apache's younger brother had, snitched on him, had ratted him out, of course, what do you think's going to happen? They put a hit on him, right? So some people might already know this, but when you get, like, if you're in one of those organizations, and a blood relative or even like a good homie, like if you're the one that kind of brought him in, like vouch for him or whatever, but if they fuck up like really bad, if they do something really bad enough to where they want you to take them out, they're gonna make you do it. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. You're gonna take out your own blood. That's how they do it, right? So they told Apache, you got your little carnalito fucked up. He snitched. He's no good. So you need to deal with that. You need to take him out. So he said, of course, when they told him that, he was like, man. He told him, don't fucking ask me to do this. He goes, I'm not gonna fucking kill my little carnalito. My little brother. He says, I ain't gonna fucking do it, man. So I guess they told him, like, well, you know what's going to happen, and either you deal with him or we're going to deal with both of you. So I guess he said, he basically told them, well, you know, fuck it then, come get me, because you're gonna have to kill me first, So so that's what ended up happening. They ended up putting a hit on Apache and his little brother. So that's when basically Apache became a dropout. So technically, some people might want to say, like, oh, well, he's a PC, but I guarantee you, like, nobody's saying that to this dude's face. Maybe some dudes from his own organization might say it because they have a hit on him. They're trying to get him, right. But so yeah, like me and this dude, we used to chop it up a lot, and then like I said, he was housing loan, rec loan. But then one day, like, I guess, like, he had been kind of like talking to one of the counselors and telling him, like, hey, if you have somebody like that you think I might get along with, like, I'm willing to get a celly, like somebody that I don't know is compatible, like in a I guess like in a personality, like where somebody that won't be, I guess, too afraid of him, or they won't, basically it can't be anybody that's affiliated with his former, organization, right? So what ended up happening was they ended up giving him a celly that was he was a young white inmate that claimed to be an AB, like an Aryan Brotherhood, right? And he had all the like the AB tattoos and everything, and I'm trying to remember, like I don't remember exactly what their patch looks like, but I know like one of the things they have is like they have like a green like a shamrock, I guess one of them Irish looking things. And so I remember when he got this dude as a celly, this dude was like pretty high strung too, kind of a younger dude, maybe like 23 or 24. And I don't remember if I mentioned it or not, but Apache was like I think he was maybe like in his late 20s. Yeah, he was like late 20s, maybe like 26, 27. And so anyway, what ended up happening was supposedly it I don't know, word came out that white dude either wasn't a real AB, or he was also a dropout, I guess, or something. But there was other inmates were saying that he wasn't a real AB, that he was a liar, right? So I mean, I guess that's all it took. Like when Apache heard about that, man, he beat the fuck out of that dude and like almost killed him, like just beat him to a pulp. And so they ended up like having to extract him, threw a gas grenade in there and extracted him, and then pulled the poor dude out and fucking had to air vac him, to I don't remember what hospital it took him to, but so obviously he didn't get any more cellies after that. But yeah, I mean, this dude was always cool with me, and so like one day he asked me to mail out some letters for him, and I kind of knew it was coming. I could kind of tell, like, he was kind of working towards something. I could just kind of tell. And then the reason they do that is because sometimes they'll have something illegal in the letter, like either like information, like just something like I don't know, some kind of word about something they want to get out, or there's just something in the letter that's going to get red flagged, right? And that's why they don't want to send it through the proper channels. So they'll ask a CO to sneak the letter out for them, or a counselor or somebody, right? Obviously, I told him, "Nah, man, sorry, I can't help you, bro." And he was like, "Come on, Diaz." He's like, "Man," he's like, "I trust you, and this." And I was like, "Hey, man, I told you before, don't ask me to do nothing for you like that, man. Sorry, I can't help you." So obviously after that, like he kind of got mad, and like, so we didn't really talk that much after that. But I mean, that's cool with me, you know what I mean? It was pretty much business after that. But yeah, this dude was a trip, man. He was a crazy dude. and then he ended up getting moved to another facility like shortly after that. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Like I said, I'll talk more about the other shot caller in another video, AG. But anyways, for now, oh, real quick, so I'll probably put out another video this week. It's gonna be like a kind of paranormal, but not really paranormal. But anyway, I'll tell you about it in the next video. For now, your homie Big Cisco. Peace.